let me address for the final time where I stand on Aaron Rodgers. And I have to do this, and I really do hope it's the final time. Aaron Rodgers took over for Brett Favre back in 2008, and I was ready for it. I remember the game we all remember in 2007 when he came in, looked really good against the Cowboys, and we knew it was time to move on from Favre. We knew then, as much as we loved Favre, we knew it was time to move on because the time that we were going to get out of Favre was not going to be the time that we were going to get out of Rodgers. Now, did we think Rodgers would be as good as Favre? We said, there's no way he's good as Favre, but maybe he does this, maybe he does this. He turns out he's better. Okay? But we knew then that you have to go with the guy that's going to be there longer. And that is how it should be in this situation. Do we know what Jordan Love's going to be? No. I really do believe that Jordan Love's going to be good based on Aaron Rodgers playing through an injury when they were pretty much mathematically eliminated. My belief could be wrong. Sorry, I don't want to, say the wrong thing here when talking about Rodgers, but my belief is that Rodgers wanted to play for many reasons, but because he didn't want the world to get 5 weeks of tape on Jordan Love, because then this decision would have been easier for the Packers. Rodgers wants to go out on his terms. He wants to retire when it's time for him to retire, when he thinks so. So he's seen this with all his buddies. How many Packer buddies has he seen that have got cut, quote unquote, a year too early? You know, the offensive lineman the Packers were doing it with, Jordy Nelson specifically gets referenced. But that's the way of the business. I really think that Rodgers needs to understand that that's the way of the business. And I think that he thinks he's the best player to play for this team that's been playing for 100 years. So he earned, by being as good as he is, he earned the right to go out on his terms. Well, the Packers have to start planning for the future. And they drafted his replacement 3 years ago. And Rodgers had some good years since then, right? We all know that. But it is time to move on because just like with Favre, now we don't know as much about Love because Rodgers didn't afford us that opportunity. We don't know this much about Love, but it's the same equation as it was then. Do you want a little bit more of Rodgers or a long time of Love? Commenting on Twitter, talking about how I think Rodgers decides that he is wanting to go out on his own terms. Bill says, you don't feel like his resume has afforded him the right to go out on his own terms? Well, what are we talking here? Is his own terms 1 more year and then he says goodbye? We don't know that. We can't tell. He doesn't know. Is it 5 more years? Are we going to say, all right, everything that Rodgers did up to this point is perfect, so play as long as you want because what you've given us, you have now earned whatever you want. Play for another 10 years. Be bad. Be the worst quarterback in the league. But you gave us that amount of time. Give us another 15 years where you're the worst quarterback in the league. But you've earned that because you were so good for so long. Is that what we're talking about here? I just find it. We get to a point with these athletes where we love them so much that we do start to put them over the team. And we can't do that. We can't put them over the team. The team has to move on. The team has to do what's best for the team. They are trying to win championships. They don't feel like Rodgers presents them that option to win a championship anymore. Will they be wrong? I don't think they will. I think if Rodgers came back to Green Bay, he wouldn't be as good. I think he'd be what he was last year. If he goes to the Jets, he's going to have a chip on his shoulder, and that's what Rodgers needs to play at an MVP level, I suppose. By the way, I don't think the resume is good enough to go out on his terms. He has won 1 Super Bowl. You don't halt your franchise for a guy that's won 1 Super Bowl. Now, I know he won 4 MVPs, but that doesn't do anything for me in terms of, like, Rodgers winning MVPs. So I think back of Rodgers, and I've loved his career. There's been so many great moments. Some of them are on the wall behind me that I'm sitting in front of right now in my basement. And I've loved his career. It's been a fantastic career. And there's been so many great playoff wins, and there's been so many Hail Marys, and there's been so many come from behind victories, and pretty much any game against the Bears. There's been a lot of great moments. I cherish those as a Packer fan forever. It's been so fun. But him actually winning an MVP, is not a moment for me. I don't care. My love for his career does not change if he won 4 MVPs, 0 MVPs, or 9 MVPs. It doesn't do anything for how I feel about him or how I feel his tenure should be. Okay. How do I feel about him? I feel like Aaron Rodgers is a phenomenal quarterback, and I've enjoyed watching him play a lot. I think Aaron Rodgers is a great person. I think he's done a lot for good people. There's a lot of things that we've seen him do. There's a lot that we haven't seen him do, most likely, I would assume. To shout out Chives in his goodbye on McAfee, this is a tremendously nice gesture. You know, like Leroy shouting out pick and save at the Hall of Fame. It's a great gesture. I understand what he did during the pandemic. I understand what he continues to do and what he will continue to do. I think Rodgers is a great person. I don't like his personality. I don't like his personality. I've called him a personality chameleon. I think he attaches to who he's hanging out with. I think that he has a lot of traits in someone that I would not hang out with, and that's fine. The quick response is, well, I don't like your personality. Well, that's okay. The click-off button's right up there. I mean, it's okay not to like your personality. But, okay, so if you don't like my personality, do you watch my stuff? You probably don't. So the more I get on Rodgers' personality, the less I enjoy watching him. It's not personal. Everyone thinks, what did he ever do to you? He can't hurt you. It's the same thing. It's watching a guy who gets in front of the narrative, who always has a chip on his shoulder, says he's not the victim, but certainly plays one well on TV. I just don't like his personality. I don't know why that's so bad. That doesn't mean I didn't enjoy his career. That doesn't mean he didn't give me great moments. That doesn't mean I don't have his jersey. I have a giant Rodgers toy that I'm holding up right here in the box. He's littered all over my house. Okay? I don't like his personality anymore, and I'm tired of the off-season drama. And whether he tries to create that drama or not, whether that's like his intention, whether he's pulling the strings or holding things up, it's too much. I want to root for a football team from August to January. Okay? So many people in my career have told me to stick to sports. Well, I'm trying to. I just want to watch my football team from August to January, yet from February to July, it's all these questions about Rodgers and having to wait for him to talk at the Kentucky Derby or McAfee show. It's just exhausting. I don't think the Packers are getting enough out of it. If he was winning a Super Bowl every year, we got to go this thing. He's going to win another Super Bowl. That'd be different, but he's not. And I know it's not all Rodgers' fault. The Packers have been quietly one of the worst run organizations of the last decade, and Rodgers has masked a lot of that. I understand all this. I just think it's time to move on from a football perspective. I think it's time to move on. We can disagree with that. I am tired of his personality taking up the offseason. You may not be. We can disagree on that. One thing that needs to stop, and I'm going to bring it up so you don't bring it up. I don't care that he didn't get vaccinated. I was on the radio at the time during this, and I had said, Rodgers needs to get vaccinated. Why won't you get vaccinated? It's the vaccine. Because I wanted him to play. All right? COVID was scary. COVID killed a lot of people. I know people with long COVID that are suffering. I had a 6-month-old kid in my house. I was scared to death of COVID. I won't apologize for that. So yes, I wanted people to get the vaccine. I wanted there to not be COVID. I was scared for my kid. Is that bad? Do you see how I'm manipulating this now by bringing my kid into it? I know what I'm doing. But I mean that. I was afraid of it. And then with my athletes, the leagues were saying, get vaccinated so you can play. And so I wanted everyone to get vaccinated. Yes, so COVID could be done. And then also, so the guys could play. I wanted Rodgers to play, and then not getting vaccinated. I might have called him a bad teammate. I'm sure I said a lot of stupid stuff that people hang on to and gleam onto it and will never let me go from that. And that's just something I have to deal with. I get people 3 years later saying I don't like Rodgers because of COVID. Please let me clear this up for you. Now, one other issue that I want to address with Rodgers, and it came from a voicemail from my good friend Cone Roller. Wednesday night, I went on Twitter and tweeted something about how a lot of people are doing all these tribute videos for Rodgers. They are not Rodgers fans. They are engagement fans. I deleted the tweet because I felt it was rude. And also I did it at a time where I shouldn't have been tweeting. Here's Cone's voicemail after I deleted the tweet.
Hey, Bart, it's Cone. Just Friday morning, or Thursday morning, actually, after all the Rodgers dust has settled, I saw you were deleting some tweets about your Rodgers meltdown, calling people losers for posting tribute videos. You know, honestly, I don't think there's anything wrong with honoring what Aaron Rodgers has done for this franchise. Played at a high level the majority of his career, got us to Super Bowl. Curious to kind of hear what your expectations are for Jordan Love, rooting for the Packers, obviously, but I don't think it's going to be as successful just putting in Jordan Love, honestly. I don't think this team wins more games than the Jets with Rodgers, and I'd be willing to put $1,000 on it if you are. And another thing is we love Ryan Braun in this state, and I love Ryan Braun. His number should absolutely be retired. But the discourse between how we talk about Ryan Braun versus Aaron Rodgers is a little hypocritical, in my opinion, because they've had similar careers, except there's been one commonality, and that's Aaron Rodgers has won more and has done more for the Packers than Ryan Braun did for the Brewers. And nobody's out here slandering Ryan Braun. He was a confirmed cheater, ruined a guy's career, and we have Aaron Rodgers over here saving small businesses. So I just don't get the brain melt that you are leading the charge on with this Rodgers discourse, deleting tweets, obviously, calling people losers for, posting tribute videos. You're ripping on the dude's mental health. Bart, I hope you're okay, and praying for you this weekend as kind of some of this dust settles.
I'm not ripping on his mental health. I don't think the darkness retreat. I don't know how look, if that's what he needs, fine. I'll punt on that one. If that's for mental health, then fine. Okay, what do I know? I don't know his brain. I'm not gonna. I'll get off of that one. Again, you got to separate the two, Cone. I'm not saying Rodgers is a bad person. I never have. He's a good person. He is confused about who he is. That's what I see. That's what I believe. And he doesn't want to be the victim, but he also doesn't want the criticism. He does a lot of things in my playbook. Get out there first. Rip on yourself first. You do something wrong. You do it first. He's trying to control the narrative. I totally understand it. Maybe, and that's why I don't like him. Maybe I find he's too much like me. Maybe. But great football player, great memories, great person, a personality I don't like. Sorry. I'm just being honest. And I'm just fatigued with every offseason. But the most simple fact is the Packers are in a spot where they need to move on. They needed to move on then. They need to move on now. It is time to move on. That's all this is at the end of the day. Now, as far as the tweets I'm deleting, you are free to enjoy content as much as you want. You're free to go watch old games. You're free to watch tribute videos. Where my anger is at is that the people that are putting up these Twitter videos, there's too many people on Twitter right now that know that them gloating over Rodgers is going to get them 9,000 likes, and then that's why they do it. They give you no content. They give you no perspective. They just fish for likes by saying, hey, here's a good throw Rodgers did on this date 7 years ago. Now, is that a mental health thing that I shouldn't rip on for them needing to do that? I don't know. Am I being hypocritical because I'm now using Rodgers for content? Yes. But the difference is if you're this far in this show or this far in this video, it's because I have done something to keep you there. I have done it. I even played 18 minutes of Rodgers to do it. So it's fine if you want to make a tribute video to Rodgers on Twitter, just at some point say something other than Rodgers is good quarterback, me love him, here's roll tape. And so that's what bothers me. It bothers me like guys like Bill who can't get it through their head that it is time to move on, that you can't let a quarterback play forever. The Giants were doing that with Eli Manning. He almost played himself out of the Hall of Fame. That's where I'm at Rodgers. I feel like I've answered every question. And so I'm done. We move on to Jordan Love. Still interested in the compensation, but everything else regarding Rodgers, the personality, we'll see how he does on the Jets. You've heard it all from me. I don't need to say it anymore. That closes the book on my Aaron Rodgers takes.